131 brake horsepower and about 1 million gallons of torque. I wouldn't be at all surprised to find that death sounds a bit like this. The standard car produces 103 bhp. This produces, nobody knows, 1 million, could be more. All we know is the Stig is primed and ready.
It's called the Rough, and the normal 3.3-litre turbo engine has been enlarged to 3.4 litres, which doesn't sound like much. But then it has a brace of turbos, which give about 11 million brake horsepower. And that sounds like a lot.
Any faults with your car? Any faults with yours?
No, and did you know in the whole history of TBR there is no recorded incident of one ever breaking down?
I've heard that.
Well done, Mr. Mole Husband, you're off. Oh my God! I hate this quad!
This Honda has a single-cylinder 450cc engine that makes 1,000 million horsepower, and it's faster than light. The power is instantaneous. Watch! Ah!
This has a top speed, and I know this because I've done it, of 1 million miles an hour. 1 million!
Yes, but look at the field. That is ruined.
Yes, and we did that in just one day. And there are eco-mentalists who will tell you that that will take about 25,000 years to recover.
Because of our damage.
Because of our damage. So,
The second most amazing thing about it is the price. I sort of thought it would be 1 million billion, but actually, it's only 134,000, kind of Ferrari money. Partly that's down to the 1 million horsepower 3.8-litre twin-turbo V6.
It did it in 1 minute. 26.7.
No, I'm lying.
All right.
1 minute, 8.5.
This, though, this is just pure panto. You can just tell it was built purely for fun. Look what I've got. 1 billion miles of blue sky over my head. The bellow of that 570 horsepower V10.
Is what you get in the bump. It says here, Crossfire has an aerodynamically limited top speed of 155. All cars are limited by their aerodynamics. If there were no air, a mini metro would go 1 million miles an hour.
That's why space rockets are so fast.
Exactly.
The car will cost you £1.46 million, and because most British racetracks have noise limits, which this breaches, you'll need your own.
And the going rate for one of those these days, about 6 billion. Billion. Still a great car. And still properly fast.
And because you don't need your own track, it's about 6 billion less than the R.
Toyota might be the newest team on the F1 grid with a huge budget, but their Avensis is the oldest car here. It's also ugly. And worst of all, it's endlessly reliable, so you'll have to suffer millions of boring miles in it before it'll have the decency to lie down and die.
To play the real Laguna Seca, you have to go to California, where you'll discover a death-dealing blend of G-force and tortured tyres. This is the most fearsome track in North America, largely because of one corner, the corkscrew.
I've driven around the corkscrew 1 million times electronically, and I just can't believe how steep it is. Right, I'm up to 18 million pieces of glass. Look at another fold, there you go, 18 million and 2, 3. Why do they call this stuff safety glass? I mean, it isn't. Why can't it just break into 4 pieces? Why does it have to break into 19 million pieces? And it goes everywhere. You break it, you can be in bed and it's outside your house and it goes in your pyjamas. 18 million and 10.
And across the line. Yeah, got the time here. You're going to be pleased by this. You're going to be pleased. Because it did it in 1 minute, 16.4... No, I'm lying. It actually did it in 1:33.5. So it's a little bit faster than a Golf GTI, but a lot worse.
Styling's better.
Shut up.
What it does mean, though, is that the C2's big wheels and wheel arches, its translucent Sexaid gear lever, the trillion-watt stereo, all of it will be ripped out and replaced with the next generation of modifications. It's hard to say how much power the GTR develops because each engine, as I said last week, is hand-built, and each one is therefore a little bit different.
But I think they put 1 million horsepower in this one because the acceleration is just blistering. It's just...
The problem the Humvee has is that it only has 325 brake horsepower, okay, from its 6-litre engine, but it weighs more than 4 tons. It's just not enough. Then you've got the Escalade, all right, 400 brake horsepower, but still weighs 1 billion tons. Whereas I've got the supercharged 4.2-litre V8 out of a Jaguar. Hot hatchbacks. Now, for you, they probably conjure up images of a young man with a tyre-fitter haircut squealing around a housing estate at 3 o'clock in the morning. Something like him, really. What I'm thinking of. You probably think they're boy racer cars and that they shouldn't be touched with a barge pole. I'm not so sure.
I love hot hatchbacks because they offer drawback-free motoring. You can put a chest of drawers in the back and then take it home at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I'd been even more ingenious, turning my Vespa into a Mississippi-style paddle steamer.
Now, as it turned out, my simple plan was very difficult because the Vespa weighs 940,000 tons. So I've needed 4 canoes full of foam.
The main problem, though, is that with cracked ribs, I couldn't operate the kickstart.
And it did it in 1 minute, 19.2. No, it didn't.
1 minute 31 seconds is where it did it. So, James, can we now stop doing small, simple hatchbacks in the power tests?
You can, yeah.
Good, thank you. You are sacked.
Welcome to the Pagani Zonda, an Italian supercar which is huge and modern. So you'd expect it to weigh about 400 million tons. So that it doesn't, it's made of carbon fibre and other materials which simply weren't on the periodic table 30 years ago.
Here we go again, let's tow him out. Listen to that CV joint. Damn him and his stupid aquarium which weighs 1,800 tons.
Need four-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive will give you control in slippery corners. That's what it's for. That's why rally cars are four-wheel drive. You need four-wheel drive.
No, you won't.
You will.
You won't. And in the morning, after we've had 1 million more beers, I'm going to prove it to you.
Fine.
You just wait. We've got a long time to wait till morning in Norway, admittedly.
It's very interesting,
Yeah.
but because the standard car has 560, doesn't
Yeah.
it? And then Ferrari brought out the 458, which has got, I think, 562.
2, they said, yes, 2 more.
And then, mysteriously, Lamborghini came back with 570.
All of a sudden. We all know why it is. It's because Lamborghini are owned by Audi, so the Germans do the actual building of the cars, and then they let the Italians do the brochure. So they just fill in the numbers. It's got 1 million horsepower, yes. 100,000, it's invisible, and it's got cannons.
With both cars full to the brim of fuel, it was time to set off.
Rough with the smooth on Top Gear this week, then. A little while ago, I was doing burnouts in a burnt-out city in a Ford GT with 500 million brake horsepower. And now I'm going round the most boring road in the world in a diesel Lupo.
Well, you can't. I mean, it's a Porsche. You can't hit the speed. It hasn't got the clearance. He ripped his bumper off.
600,000 people a year are killed in the back of ambulances by speed humps.
What you're doing is making that up.
Yes, but making a point as well. I'm making it up to make a point.
If it's one or more, it's an issue.
Go over it too fast,
agreed.
patient dies.
Yeah.
slowed down to make it comfortable, patient dies because they don't reach the hospital in time. Until this government gets rid of every single speed hump, we're all going to die. But first, we start with this. This is the new Ford GT, and we have had thousands of letters from people all asking the same thing. We know it's fast, very fast, but is it faster than an airliner?
Well, not thousands of letters.
No, not thousands of letters.
You mean none?
Yes, we've had no letters at all. But I was interested in finding out anyway.
The producers said we'd be staying that night at the Million Stars Motel, which boasted the finest fish restaurant in the Outback. And we were looking forward to that. However, when they told us we'd arrived...
Where is it?
I know exactly what this is.
I've got it.
What?
Million Star Motel.
Yep.
Best fish restaurant in the Outback.
It's a joke.
Stars.
Yes. It's a funny joke.
Funny.
Funny, yeah, good.
As we were admiring the paintwork on Jeremy's lorry, our challenge arrived.
Well, I'm quite excited, actually, come to think of it, because, I mean, we're here with these.
In 1943, British, Australian and Dutch prisoners of war were forced by their Japanese captors to build the Burma Railway across Southeast Asia. Their efforts and their suffering were immortalised in the film Bridge on the River Kwai. That's what you're going to do. You're going to build a river bridge which is strong enough to support the weight of your lorries. I don't know anything about bridge building.
Bridge? How big a bridge are we going to have to build?
Yeah,
to
how
hold
big?
my
How much
truck?
does yours weigh?
About 1,000 tons.
I'm afraid it gets worse. What? I was driving my car, this was a Mercedes, okay? I was driving through East London this week and I got shot, okay? Now the thing... I was shot.
At last.
Well, they didn't hit me, but they hit the... No, honestly, the windscreen. So now,
What with?
AK-47. Okay, now in the olden days, you used to ring up a repair glass company. They send a man round, and it was 50 quid, and he put a new one in, he claimed on insurance, yes? Not anymore. My windscreen has got aerials in it, and heating elements, and light sensors, and rain sensors, and they've had to take the car away. It'll cost £20 trillion, and they've kept it overnight because they say that the glue's got to set.
Did they by any chance try telling you that the glue will set better if it's left parked outside a nightclub all night, maybe?
Yeah.
Gay nightclub.
Probably.
Oh, not the... It's not a gay car.
It is now.
It is now, yeah, all right. Is it my turn?
It is.
Because if you put your life savings in a bank, you get, what is it nowadays, 0.5% interest? It's about 0.5%. So if you put £25,000 life savings in the bank, you get...
125 quid.
It is about 125
Yeah,
quid a year back in interest, OK? Now, if you'd have bought 10 years ago an E-Type jab for £25,000, it would now be worth £80,000. £80,000. And you'd have had an E-Type to drive around in, because you can't drive around in a bank statement. So it makes perfect sense.
And there's no tax, presumably, on the profit on
No,
the
there
car,
isn't.
is there?
No, on a car you can sell it and you don't even pay any tax on it.
But there's quite a lot of cars doing that. Ferrari 275 GTS, if you bought one of those 10 years ago, about £130,000. Now, £500,000
I know.
in 10 years.
I know. It's staggering how
That's
cars
all
have
right.
gone
The
up.
difficult thing, though, is knowing what to pick next, spotting what's going to do that. Is it?
Talk to me.
Really?
So, Jeremy, what's
Literally
going to be?
expert. I once bought a BMW 3-litre CSL for £3,000. They're now worth 40, 50?
Yeah.
Easily.
How much did you sell yours for?
1,500 quid.
Well done.
I am the man you turn to at times.
Come on.
My
Your
tip
top
now.
tip.
Subaru Impreza, probably.
We want to take this quite seriously, though, because we could actually dispense sound financial advice.
Yeah,
And
really?
actually, a car I've noticed that has gone up a lot in recent years is the Rolls-Royce Corniche.
Yeah, like the one you've got, James, really.
Yeah.
How much is it worth now, James?
About £1 million.
Is it? Is it really?
That's nothing compared to the Mercedes 600 grosser.
Ah, such as the one you've got.
£1 billion.
Really?
A billion? A straight
That is
billion.
now $1 billion to
Wow.
buy one of those. If anybody's interested, give me a shout after the show.
Yeah.
Now, yes, you may have noticed this week that some Greenpeace activists broke into the Land Rover factory, chained themselves to the production line, claiming that Range Rovers
I don't know what they claim they do, but they do something wrong anyway. So we're kind of with Greenpeace on this. We think it's ridiculous that town and city centres are clogged up with enormous gas-guzzling vehicles that only have one person on board. So we thought that we'd stage a protest of our own. And here it is. This is Hammersmith Bus Depot at rush hour, and look, we've handcuffed ourselves to a bus. Buses kill 48 badgers a week.
Buses burn planets.
CFCs coming out of the back of that bus are enough to fill the Pacific Ocean every 3 weeks.
You're making this stuff up.
That's what you do to get in the papers. You just make up statistics, they get printed, and you sound really good.
Right. What do we want?
A Range Rover!
When do we want it? As soon as we can arrange easy finance.
Well,
right.
as soon as the signature.
See, the bus driver was so angry he had to come up and ask for an autograph.
Yeah, and then look, they put a bus in front of us so we couldn't be seen by all the passengers, but we just chained ourselves to that one then. My cold, dead fingers will have to be prized from this bus.
The only way I'm leaving this bus is without this arm.
Yeah.
Yep. Once in a man's life.
Put your feet down and say that, hello. Yeah, now you see, what happened here is with the police, really nice policemen, they really were, and they said they got better things to do really than deal with 3 middle-class boys chained to a bus, and would be mind going away. So this is what happened.
We ran away.
We ran away.
We ran away.
We're not as good at protesting, I think, as Greenpeace.
What's our first go at it? We're new to it.
Yeah. Now,